It was the kind of morning that should have sung with joy, the birds chirping, drums echoing in the distance, and colorful fabrics swaying in the wind. But as Kwame stood at the altar of the small community church in the heart of Kumasi, holding Ama's hand, not a single smile came from the crowd. In fact, the pews weren't even full. Old women whispered behind folded fans. Men avoided his eyes. His own younger brother, Kojo, leaned against a palm tree outside, shaking his head in disbelief. Of all the women in Ghana, he scoffed, arms folded. You chose the one whose husband died less than a year ago? What kind of curse are you inviting into this family? Kwame heard every word, but his hand never left Ama's. Ama stood quietly beside him, her lace dress modest but elegant, her face veiled, concealing the pain she had learned to carry like jewelry. She had been the wife of Adam Owusu, a wealthy timber merchant, until a tragic accident on the Accra-Kumasi highway left her widowed at just 34. And now, at 26, Kwame was marrying her. A poor schoolteacher with no land to his name, mocked in hushed tones as the boy who couldn't find his own woman. But Kwame had seen something no one else cared to look for. That night, after the awkward reception and skipped toasts, Kwame and Ama sat in their tiny, dimly lit apartment. Rain tapped on the corrugated iron sheets above them. You heard them, Ama said softly, sipping her tea. Let them talk, Kwame replied. They don't know you like I do. She looked at him with tired eyes. But do you truly know me, Kwame? Do you know what I'm capable of? There was something in her voice, a hidden edge, a shadow of history. Kwame furrowed his brows. What do you mean? Ama rose, walked to an old suitcase hidden beneath the bed, and pulled out a thick, leather-bound ledger. She placed it on the table between them. Before Adam died, she said slowly, he taught me everything about his timber business. I helped him double his exports. I handled deals with clients in Accra, Lagos, even Dubai. But after his death, his family locked me out of everything. They said a woman, especially a widow, had no place in business. She opened the ledger. This is my revenge. The weeks that followed were a blur. Ama was relentless. By day, Kwame continued to teach at the primary school, earning barely enough to keep lights on. But by night, their tiny home transformed into an operations center. Ama worked through old contacts, reopened dormant contracts, and tracked suppliers who still owed her favors. She taught Kwame everything: inventory management, profit margins, risk forecasting. Slowly, the young teacher who once stammered through math lessons became a confident business strategist. They borrowed a small sum from a retired carpenter who once owed Ama's husband his life. With it, they secured a batch of prime timber and landed a small contract with a furniture company in Tima. I don't know how you did it, Kwame whispered one evening, watching their first real check clear into their joint account. Ama didn't smile. Instead, she stared at the money. This is only the beginning. But trouble was brewing. One night, as Kwame walked home from a delivery, a group of young men cornered him in the alley behind their house. You think you're smart, huh? One sneered. Using a dead man's wife to climb the ladder? What kind of man lives in the shadow of another's wealth? Kwame stood tall, even as they pushed him. I'd rather live in her shadow than die in your ignorance. The blow came fast, but Kwame didn't fall. He returned home with a bruised lip and fire in his eyes. They want a story, Ama, he said. Then let's give them one. Ama placed a gentle hand on his face. Good, because I just received a call from Accra. A Japanese investor wants to partner. Kwame's jaw dropped. Investor? Ama nodded. Apparently, they heard about a bold young couple turning timber into gold in Kumasi. They want to meet us next week. And just like that, the shame that once wrapped around them like a curse began to unravel. But it was only the start, because Ama hadn't told Kwame the whole truth. The Japanese investor wasn't a stranger. He was part of a past Ama had buried long ago. And now it was coming back. The air in the Kumasi apartment felt thicker than usual. Ama hadn't slept the night before. She sat at the edge of the bed, staring at her phone screen like it was a ticking bomb. Kwame emerged from the kitchen holding a cup of cocoa. "You've been up all night," he said, placing the cup beside her. "What's on your mind?" Amma hesitated, then finally said, "His name is Kenji Takahara." Kwame raised an eyebrow. "The Japanese investor?" She nodded. "But he's not just any investor. 10 years ago, when I was 24, I was offered a scholarship to study international trade in Kyoto. Kenji was one of my professors. We grew close. Too close." Kwame's face stiffened. "You were in a relationship with him?" "Briefly," Amma said carefully, "until I discovered he was married. I walked away. He was furious. A year later, the scholarship was revoked without explanation. I always suspected he had something to do with it. So why would he want to invest now? That's what I need to find out." Kwame stood silently, staring out the window at the rising sun. "Let's meet him. Together." The meeting was set at a sleek new hotel on the outskirts of Accra. Kenji arrived exactly on time, gray suit, polished shoes, and that same calm expression that once charmed a younger Amma. "Amma," he said, bowing slightly, "you look even more beautiful than I remember." Kwame's jaw tightened. "And you must be Kwame," Kenji added, extending a hand. "You're quite the lucky man." Kwame forced a smile. Luck had nothing to do with it. The three sat at a long glass table. Kenji opened his briefcase and slid forward a contract. "I've studied your numbers. Impressive. I'm offering a $300,000 investment for a 40% stake in your company." Amma leaned back. "That's generous, but steep." Kenji's smile didn't falter. "Generous, yes, because I believe in you. Always have." Kwame leaned forward. "And you expect us to believe that's your only motive?" Kenji's eyes darkened slightly. "Business is business. The past is the past." But as the couple drove back to Kumasi that evening, Amma sat quietly beside Kwame, fingers clutched around the contract. "He's lying," she finally whispered. "He didn't come to Ghana for timber." Kwame's brows furrowed. "Then why is he here?" Amma looked at him, voice trembling. "Because he knows something about Adam's death, and he wants something from me." Later that week, Amma returned to the abandoned timber warehouse Adam used to own, now overgrown with vines and crawling with stray goats. She hadn't been there since the funeral. Something about the place always gave her chills. She climbed the rusted stairs to Adam's old office and pried open a drawer hidden beneath the floorboard. Inside was a flash drive, still labeled Japan, December 2013. Her fingers shook as she inserted it into her laptop that night. Video files, scanned documents, a set of emails, all pointing to a smuggling operation Adam had once been approached to join, exporting rare endangered wood species through backdoor deals to foreign clients. And the name Kenji Takahara appeared on several correspondences.
Ama covered her mouth.
"I knew it," she whispered. Kwame stood behind her, eyes wide. "So this isn't just about business. He thinks we have proof." Amma turned to him, eyes blazing. "We don't just have proof. We have leverage." And just like that, the woman they shamed for being a widow had become a threat to a global network. One misstep and they could lose everything. Or worse. Kwame stared at the computer screen, then at Amma. "What are you going to do?" he asked. Amma stood slowly. "I'm going to make him regret ever crossing paths with a widow." 3 days after uncovering the flash drive, Amma noticed a black SUV parked a little too long near their street corner. The same vehicle showed up again the next day, no movement, no license plate visible. Just parked under the mango tree across from their compound. Kwame had just returned from the timber site with red dust clinging to his boots. "That car's been out there again," Amma whispered. He peered through the curtain. "Could be a neighbor's visitor?" Amma shook her head. "It's him. Kenji sent someone." The next morning, a man appeared at the warehouse. Tall, with sharp cheekbones, a wide-brimmed gray hat, and a crooked smile. He introduced himself as Nee. "I'm an investor looking for reliable timber suppliers," he told the foreman. "I heard a widow and her young husband are changing the game." When the message reached Amma, her stomach sank. "Nee doesn't mean timber," she said coldly. He means trouble. Kwame clenched his fists. Let's call the police. No, Amma said. We don't have solid proof he's connected to Kenji. Besides, she pulled out the flash drive. We still haven't used this. Kwame nodded slowly. Then let's hit him where it hurts. Amma contacted a journalist she once mentored at university, Efua Bokai, a fast-talking investigative reporter with a fearless pen. This is explosive, Efua whispered as she read through the documents and watched video clips. From the flash drive. Illegal timber. Forged customs records. Japanese clients with diplomatic immunity.
Amma nodded.
We need to leak just enough to rattle him, without putting ourselves in the crosshairs. Efua smirked. Leave that to me. 2 days later, a breaking headline hit the Ghanaian financial blogs. Foreign investor linked to timber smuggling ring? Amma received a call that evening. Unknown number. Are you trying to blackmail me? Kenji's voice rasped through the line.
Ama similet kuli.
Not blackmail, Kenji. Just business. Like you said, the past is the past. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, she whispered. I know exactly what I'm doing. He hung up, but that same night their power went out. The street was plunged into darkness. Then glass shattered. Someone had thrown a stone through their window. Kwame grabbed Amma's arm. We're not safe here anymore. She didn't flinch. Then we hit first, before they even know what's coming. The next morning, Amma walked into the local courthouse wearing a tailored navy blue dress, holding a sealed envelope. Inside it, a notarized affidavit listing every document from the flash drive, timestamps, file paths, and aliases used in the smuggling scheme. She filed it under the name Widow Tano Enterprises, an anonymous source. By afternoon, the Forestry Commission received a digital copy. By evening, 3 export licenses tied to Kenji's fake companies were flagged for audit. The whispers spread fast in timber circles. He's losing grip, Kwame said, reading the emails flying into their inbox. Clients are backing out. Amma nodded. And we haven't even touched his offshore accounts yet. But then, Efua called. Are you sitting down? Amma pressed the phone tighter to her ear. There's someone who wants to meet you. Someone who used to work for Adam. He says Adam's death wasn't an accident. Amma's heart stopped. What did he say? He said, Adam found out something. About a deal gone wrong. And he was silenced. Amma couldn't breathe. By who? Efua whispered. He says Kenji wasn't alone. There's someone else. Someone inside Ghana. Someone close. Amma's hands trembled. Closer than Kenji? Efua's voice dropped. He says it might be someone from your late husband's family. Silence. Amma stood frozen. Kwame entered the room, worry on his face. What's wrong? Amma slowly turned to him. We've been looking in the wrong direction. The next morning, Amma sat beneath the mango tree where Adam used to hold court with elders and traders, the air thick with the scent of ripening fruit and unspoken history. She clutched a photo Efua had sent, a grainy image of Adam and a man in dark Kent, arms around each other at a timber auction in 2012. Amma squinted. Her heart thumped. The man beside Adam wasn't just a friend. It was Nana Kwakutano, Adam's elder cousin, a retired chief inspector turned businessman, the same man who had comforted her at Adam's funeral and handed her a sealed envelope of documents, saying, these were all Adam left behind. The same man who had once said, Amma, maybe you should let the past rest. She rose, heart pounding. He's been protecting something, she muttered, or hiding it. Kwame was waiting in the car. Are we going to confront him?
Amma's valve clenched.
Not yet. We're going to bait him. Amma called Nana Kwaku and arranged a lunch meeting at a public restaurant in Kumasi, one known for eavesdropping waiters and tight seating. Over bowls of fufu and light soup, she smiled. Uncle, I've been thinking of expanding beyond Ghana, maybe partnering with an international investor. Nana Kwaku stirred his soup slowly. That can be risky, my daughter. Not all money is clean money. True, Amma said sweetly. But not all dirty money looks dirty either. Take Kenji Takahara, for example. His spoon stopped mid-air. A faint twitch appeared near his left eye. What about him?
Ama Leonedin.
He's desperate. Afraid someone will expose him. Nana Kwaka smiled. Then I hope you're not the one holding the match. She cocked her head. Would that bother you, uncle? He chuckled. Ama, you're a widow. People will always doubt your strength. But some things are better left in the shadows. That night, Ama checked her phone, just as Efua sent another file. It was a scanned copy of a timber contract, signed in 2014, between Kenji Takahara and Kwaku Tano Enterprises. Ama stared at it. It wasn't just suspicion now. It was proof. Ama and Kwame met Efua at a hidden co-working space in Accra that doubled as a journalist's safe house. There's more, Efua said. These emails show that after Adam refused to approve a timber shipment through Takahara's side business, Nana Kwaku overrode him. Weeks later, Adam was dead. Kwame's face hardened. So his own blood betrayed him for profit? Efua nodded grimly. And it gets worse. Kenji didn't just bribe him. They were laundering money through fake community projects in Adam's name. Ama's throat tightened. They used his legacy to cover crime? Efua pulled out a USB stick. This is everything. If we publish this, you'll be a hero. But you'll also be hunted. Kwame looked at Ama. It's your call. Ama took the USB and stared out the window at the glowing Accra skyline. No, she said softly. We publish only when we're too powerful to crush. Kwame blinked. What do you mean? She turned to him, eyes sharp. We use their secrets to build something so big. They'll have to shake our hands at the same table they once spit on. 2 weeks later, Ama and Kwame flew to Kigali, Rwanda, for the Africa Business Forum. Ama stood before a crowd of investors and dignitaries, announcing the launch of her new venture, Silk Route Africa, an export hub for ethically sourced timber and handcrafted products across West Africa, backed by a growing coalition of eco-certification partners. She dazzled, poised, powerful, fearless. And just when the lights dimmed for Q&A, a silver-haired man in the back row stood. Kenji Takahara. I have a question, he said. How does one ensure these ethical practices are not just conveniently defined? Ama smiled. Transparency, audits, and a zero-tolerance policy for corruption, no matter how far back the trail goes. The crowd murmured. Kenji's lips tightened. Ama added, would you like to schedule an inspection visit to one of our sites? We welcome all international observers. Kenji sat down. Kwame leaned toward Ama backstage. You're playing a dangerous game. She smiled.
No, Kwame.
I'm rewriting the rules. But as the applause roared and flashbulbs popped, none of them noticed the man watching from the wings. Dressed in all black, face unreadable, holding a phone. He texted, she's getting too close. What should I do? The reply came instantly. Make it look like an accident. The sun hung low over Kigali as Ama and Kwame returned to their hotel suite, exhaustion cloaked beneath layers of calm. The event had been a success. Investors lined up to request meetings, press interviews were scheduled, and Silk Route Africa had trended on social media in 6 countries. But that night something felt off. Ama sat on the balcony, her tea untouched. Her phone, usually buzzing with notifications, had gone oddly silent. No word from Efua. No news alerts. Just a stillness that crept beneath her skin like cold water. Kwame stepped out with 2 glasses of fresh juice. You okay? Ama stared into the distance. Efua promised she'd call tonight with the update on Nana Kwaku's offshore accounts. But she hasn't. Kwame frowned. Maybe her phone died? No, Ama said flatly. Efua carries 2 power banks. She never goes dark. Then, as if summoned by the tension in the air, Ama's phone vibrated. Unknown number. She answered, heart pounding. Hello. A raspy voice, heavy with static. If you want your journalist friend to stay alive, stop digging. The line went dead.
Ama froze.
Kwame took the phone. What did they say? She swallowed. They have Efua, and they want us to back off. The next day, Amma received a brown envelope slipped under their hotel room door. Inside, a photo of Efua, blindfolded, sitting in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Beside her stood a masked man with a knife, scribbled in red marker across the bottom. One more story and she bleeds. Amma collapsed into the chair. This isn't just about timber anymore. Kwame paced. We have to involve the police.
No, Amma whispered.
We can't trust anyone. Not here. Not yet. Then she remembered something she'd buried for years. 10 years ago, just before Adam's death, he had whispered to her one night, "If anything ever happens to me, find the green ledger. The truth is in the trees." She had dismissed it then, thinking it was part of his endless riddles. But now it clicked. What's the green ledger? Kwame asked.
Amma stod, her voice trembling.
It's a journal. A black, leather-bound book. I saw Adam writing in it constantly. Names, dates, maps. He told me the timber had roots deeper than the forest. And where is it now?
Amma's lips parted.
My father took it after the funeral. Nana Kwaku said he'd keep it safe. Kwame's eyes widened. Then that's what they're still trying to erase. Back in Ghana, Amma and Kwame drove 6 hours to the village of Nswapam, where Nana Kwaku had retired to a private estate hidden among cocoa trees. They arrived under the cover of darkness, sneaking past the metal gates and slipping through the back veranda. The old man's estate was eerily quiet, save for the hum of a generator and the faint clinking of dishes in the kitchen. In the study, they found what they were looking for. A locked wooden cabinet, built into the wall behind a bookshelf. Kwame pulled a pin from Amma's hair and knelt. I learned a thing or two watching YouTube. Amma smirked. Is that why our bathroom door magically fixed itself last week? Click. The cabinet swung open, and inside, nestled between files and yellowed ledgers, was a leather-bound journal. The green ledger. Amma snatched it up and opened to a random page. And her heart stopped. It wasn't just timber. It was everything. Payments from foreign shell companies. Photos of politicians shaking hands with Kenji and other donors. Bank account numbers. Offshore transfers. Community projects that never existed. And at the bottom of one page, dated just a week before Adam's death, a scribbled line. They are coming for me. If this journal is found, expose them all. Even if it means burying my own blood. Amma's hands trembled. Kwame whispered, This is the war. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside the study. A shadow passed the hallway. Kwame flipped off the light. Someone was in the house. They ducked behind the couch just as a flashlight swept across the room. A voice spoke in Fanti, low and angry. I told you she'd come for it. Another voice replied. Then we make sure she never leaves. Amma's breath caught in her throat. Footsteps crept closer, slow and deliberate. The beam of a flashlight cut across the room, grazing the edge of the journal in her hands. A whisper crackled on a walkie-talkie. Target confirmed. She has the book. Kwame's eyes locked with hers. No time. With a burst of adrenaline, he leapt from behind the couch and tackled the first intruder, sending him crashing into the bookcase. Amma ducked, clutching the green ledger to her chest, and ran for the hallway. A second masked man lunged at her, until a brass lamp from the corner crashed down on his head, courtesy of Kwame, now bleeding from a cut above his brow. Move, he growled. They sprinted through the corridor, past the kitchen, out the back door and into the bushy cocoa fields. The night air was thick, damp, and loud with insects, but behind them, heavy boots pounded the soil. Split up.
Amma gasped.
Meet at the car. Kwame nodded and peeled off through the underbrush. Amma darted toward the gate, every heartbeat echoing like a war drum in her ears. A shot cracked behind her, then another. She ducked low, zigzagging through the trees. When she reached the car, breathless, the gate was chained. She grabbed the spare key, popped the trunk, and retrieved the old wire cutters they'd used earlier. Behind her, voices. Closer now. With trembling hands, she clipped the lock. The gate creaked open. Kwame appeared just as the headlights of another car lit up the road behind them. "Drive!" he shouted, diving into the passenger seat. They tore down the dirt road as a black SUV gave chase. Bullets pinged off the back bumper.
Kamem toset ama a USB.
"I uploaded everything from the green ledger to a secure drive," he panted. "In case they catch us." "We're not dying today," Amma said, eyes locked on the winding road ahead. A week later, Amma stood before the High Commission in Accra, facing a crowd of journalists. Behind her stood international lawyers, anti-corruption watchdogs, and community leaders from across Africa. She held up the green ledger. "This is the truth they tried to bury." Flashes went off. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "In this journal are the names of those who exploited our forests, bribed our officials, and killed those who stood in their way, including my late husband, Adam Mensah." Murmurs turned to shocked silence. "And I, his widow, once mocked, doubted, and shamed. I chose not revenge, but revelation. Because no one should have to die for honesty, and no woman should have to hide her strength to be accepted." Thunderous applause erupted. Within 24 hours, international warrants were issued for Kenji Takahara and several top Ghanaian officials. Nana Kwakutano was taken into custody, and Efua was found alive, shaken, but safe, after a tip-off sent rescue agents to a warehouse on the outskirts of Tima. 6 months later, Silk Route Africa had become the continent's fastest-growing ethical export company. Kwame, now CFO, sipped palm wine beside Amma under the stars at the company's new eco-village campus. "You know," he smiled, "if you hadn't married Adam, none of this would have happened.
Ama chocolate.
If I hadn't loved him, I wouldn't have had the strength." Kwame tilted his head. "They called you cursed, a widow, a burden." Amma stared out at the horizon, where solar lights twinkled in the village they'd built from scratch. "And now," she said softly, "they call me a visionary." A distant drumbeat echoed from the village square, where the community had gathered to celebrate. Children danced. Women in vibrant ankara spun joyfully. Timber carvers, once jobless, now trained apprentices under the village's artisan program. Amma rose to her feet, her voice steady. "They shamed me for loving a man who'd lived and died with integrity. But in the end, that same love built an empire from ashes." Dear viewers, what lessons did you take from this dramatic tale? We love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to African Tales by Elian. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our latest update. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay blessed.